In the misty, verdant countryside of Siam, in the year 1811, a birth occurred that would defy medical understanding and captivate the world for decades to come. Imagine entering this world, not alone, but physically bound to your twin brother. Joined at the chest by a band of flesh and cartilage, sharing a single fused liver, your every breath, every movement inextricably linked. For most, this is a concept of pure fantasy, a biological impossibility. But for two young boys, it was the unshakable foundation of their existence. This was the astonishing reality for Chang and Eng Bunker. Born in a small fishing village to a Chinese Thai family, their arrival was met with a mixture of awe and alarm. In an era steeped in superstition, such a birth could have been seen as a terrible omen, a monstrous curse. Indeed, the king of Siam initially ordered their execution, fearing they were a harbinger of disaster. Yet their mother refused to abandon them. She nurtured them, bathed them, and taught them to stretch the ligament that bound them, allowing for greater freedom of movement. Against all odds, they not only survived, but thrived. They learned to run, swim, and perform chores with a seamless coordination that baffled onlookers. They developed distinct personalities, separate minds, and individual wills, all while navigating the world as a single unified entity. Their extraordinary case would eventually give a name to their condition. Hailing from the Kingdom of Siam, they would become known across the globe as the original Siamese twins, a term that would enter the lexicon and forever be associated with their incredible story. Their journey was just beginning, one that would take them far from their humble village and onto the world stage, challenging perceptions of normalcy, identity, and what it truly means to be human. In the year 1811, in the floating house village of Samut Songkhram, a province in the Kingdom of Siam, a mother's cries of labor were met with gasps of shock and fear. She had given birth to twin boys, a joyous occasion that quickly turned to consternation. The infants were joined at the sternum by a thick, flexible band of flesh. They were named Chang and Eng. In a time and place where superstition was rife, their birth was seen by many as a terrible omen, a harbinger of misfortune. Some villagers even called for the infants to be put to death to ward off evil. But their mother, Nok, refused, fiercely protecting her sons. She bathed them, nurtured them, and discovered that despite their physical bond, they were remarkably healthy and robust. As they grew, Chang and Eng developed an extraordinary sense of coordination. They learned to run, swim, and perform chores with a fluid grace that astonished onlookers. Their shared body moved as one, a testament to a deep, unspoken connection that went far beyond the physical. They were two distinct personalities, two minds, who had learned to navigate the world in a single, shared rhythm. Their unique existence was a local curiosity, but their world was about to expand in a way they could never have imagined. In 1824, their lives took a dramatic turn with the arrival of Robert Hunter, a Scottish merchant. Hunter saw not two boys, but a golden opportunity. He envisioned parading them before the curious eyes of the Western world. After years of persistent negotiation, he struck a deal with their mother, who reluctantly agreed, hoping it would provide her sons with a better future. For a sum of money and a promise of their return after a few years, Chang and Eng, now teenagers, were placed in the hands of an American sea captain, Abel Coffin. In 1829, they embarked on a grueling 138-day voyage to America. They left behind the only world they had ever known for a future of complete uncertainty. When they arrived in Boston, they were thrust into the limelight. Marketed as the Siamese Twins, a name that would forever enter the global lexicon, their tour began. They were put on display for 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. Audiences flocked to see them, paying to gaze upon their physical connection. But Chang and Eng were more than passive exhibits. They were intelligent, charming, and determined to prove their humanity. They would perform somersaults, play chess and badminton, and answer questions from the crowd, demonstrating their wit and physical prowess. They were a sensation, touring across America and Europe, but they were also exploited, with Captain Coffin controlling their lives and pocketing the vast majority of their earnings. However, the twins were astute observers. They learned to read and write in English, studied the contracts they were forced to sign, and understood the business of showmanship. Upon turning 21, they declared their independence. In a bold move, they broke their contract with Coffin and began managing their own careers. They proved to be brilliant businessmen, amassing a considerable fortune. They had transformed themselves from exploited curiosities into self-made men, in full control of their own destiny. After a decade of relentless touring, they yearned for a life of peace and normalcy. They chose to settle in the rural community of Wilkes County, North Carolina. In 1839, they became naturalized American citizens, adopting the surname of a friend, Bunker. They bought a plantation and became respected members of the community, known for their integrity and hard work. But their greatest act of defiance against a world that saw them as monsters was yet to come. They fell in love with two local sisters, Adelaide and Sarah Yates. The courtship caused a scandal. The idea of these freaks of nature marrying white Southern women was met with public outrage and vicious sermons from the pulpit. The girl's family vehemently opposed the union, yet the love between the two couples was genuine. After a long and difficult courtship, Chang married Adelaide, and Eng married Sarah in a joint ceremony in 1843. They devised a unique solution to domestic life. They maintained two separate homes, spending 3 days at a time in each. This arrangement was a testament to their commitment, but it wasn't always easy. Chang, known to be fond of drink, had a quicker temper, while Eng was more placid and thoughtful. Their arguments were legendary, yet their bond was unbreakable. In these two homes, they achieved the ultimate dream of a normal life. They became fathers. Together, Chang and Eng fathered an astonishing 21 children, whose descendants now number in the thousands. Their lives spanned incredible change, including the American Civil War, which decimated their fortune. In their later years, Chang's health began to fail. He suffered a stroke and increasingly turned to alcohol, much to Eng's disapproval. The end came on a cold night in January 1874. Chang, who had been suffering from severe bronchitis, passed away in his sleep. Eng awoke to find his brother cold beside him. "Then I am going," he said, filled with terror. For 63 years, they had shared every breath, every movement, every moment. Within 3 hours, Eng was also dead. An autopsy later revealed that while their livers were fused, they were physiologically independent. Doctors concluded Eng had died of fright, the profound shock of being tethered to death. Their story, which began as an omen in a small Siamese village, ended as a testament to an inseparable human bond. Chang and Eng Bunker were not freaks or spectacles. They were pioneers of resilience, who navigated an impossible existence to build lives of dignity, love, and extraordinary legacy. The story of Chang and Eng Bunker is far more than a historical curiosity. It's a profound testament to the complexities of identity, the enduring power of the human will, and the struggle for dignity in a world quick to judge. When they passed away in 1874, within hours of each other, they left behind not just a legend, but a legacy that continues to resonate, challenging our fundamental perceptions of what it means to be an individual and what it means to be whole. In an era defined by rigid social norms and a profound lack of medical understanding, Chang and Eng achieved the unimaginable. They defied the label of monsters or freaks, a label the world was all too eager to bestow upon them. They were not passive spectacles, they were active agents in their own lives. They became savvy businessmen, respected community members, and, most remarkably, husbands and fathers. Their marriage to the Yates sisters was a radical act of self-determination. It was a declaration that their physical connection did not negate their emotional and human needs for love, companionship, and family. They built 2 separate homes, raised 21 children between them, and managed a successful plantation, proving that a shared body did not mean a shared mind or a singular existence. Perhaps their most tangible and powerful legacy is their descendants. Today, over 1,500 people can trace their lineage back to Chang and Eng Bunker. This sprawling family tree is a living, breathing testament to the fullness of their lives. It stands in stark defiance of the 19th century view that they were mere novelties, incapable of a normal life. Each descendant is a chapter in a story that didn't end in 1874, but instead branched out, weaving the extraordinary tale of the Bunker twins into the very fabric of American life. Beyond their family, Chang and Eng left an indelible mark on medical science. Throughout their lives, they were examined by countless doctors, each eager to understand their unique physiology. But it was their death that provided the most crucial insights. The autopsy, performed in Philadelphia, was a landmark event. It offered the first detailed scientific understanding of the anatomy of thoracopagus twins, revealing their shared liver. This knowledge, gleaned from their bodies, laid the groundwork for future generations of surgeons. It informed the complex and life-saving separation surgeries that are possible today, turning a 19th century spectacle into a 21st century medical miracle for many conjoined twins. Their story forces us to hold a mirror to ourselves. It compels us to question how society views and treats those who are different. Chang and Eng navigated a world that oscillated between morbid curiosity and outright exploitation. They were monetized, exoticized, and often dehumanized. Yet, they consistently fought for their autonomy and respect. Their lives serve as a powerful historical benchmark, reminding us of the progress we've made in moving away from the era of the freak show towards a more inclusive understanding of disability and human variation. But it also asks us a critical question. Have we truly moved beyond the spectacle? In our own digital age of viral content and fleeting attention, their story is a vital lesson in empathy, urging us to look past the surface and recognize the shared humanity within us all. Ultimately, Chang and Eng Bunker were not defined by the band of flesh that connected them, but by the strength of their individual spirits. They were brothers, rivals, business partners, husbands, and fathers. Their journey was one of extraordinary resilience, a constant negotiation for individuality against the backdrop of inseparable unity. Their lives celebrate the uncrushable strength of the human spirit. If you're fascinated by the remarkable stories that shape our understanding of the world, subscribe for more incredible tales of history and human resilience.